that you will encourage the young people in your communities, in your house right now, to also tune into this program, knowing for that it is beneficial to them. And you know, in how it's like no pano, it's no better evil, it's no affecta evil, it's no better evil at the end of the day. Now today we have a very interesting discussion on the cards. Young people, the economy of a country. What is the combination like? What is the mixture like? What it means, it translates to say we are the potential reservoir of Zimbabwe, meaning to say the skill set that is going to need it to throw Zimbabwe into the 4th and 5th industrial revolution resonates within the young people. That's number one. Number two, we're talking about every nation can only be propelled forwards with its own citizens, and this is the young people. But I'm sure during the program we want to dissect these figures to say, can we have disaggregated information to say, by Zimbabwean constitution you need to be 15 and 35. How many of them are economically active? Are they formally economically active? What are they doing? What has been the status quo to push young people maybe into formal, informal economic activities? What can be done? What are the available mechanisms and measures that have been put by the government? We're going to look at the issues such as the Youth Employment Tax Initiative. We're going to look at the issues of the youth bill. We're going to look at issues such as the youth desk. We're going to look at the issues of youth disbursement funds within the budget. And kind of manner. One might ask, are we being given the platform? But one might also ask as well, Kuti, do we need to be given the platform, or do we need to include ourselves? What's your take on that?
Thank you so much. Okay, like what my brother here, Delight, said, we are the future. And sometimes, in as much as we need to be given the platform, we also need to include ourselves. Because sometimes if you wait for a platform to be handed over to you, it is not going to come. So as the youth, we need to include ourselves in economically activities of the country. So yes, there's a time where we need to be included. There's also a time where we need to wait. But at this rate, at this time, we also need to start including ourselves in matters that involves the economic situation of the country.
And Riza, okay, you understand that Zimbabwe does not occupy in a vacuum. We are talking about national branding. I'm sure we are all accustomed to Nigerian music. That former economics right there, they're exporting musical tourism. We know Amapiano in South Africa and Banjo in Ghana. So number one, national branding. For people to know Zimbabwe, they won't rely on our elders. They have done their part. That's number one. Number two is for the economic social development of our own people. Right now, you feel comfortable to understand that we have a doctor at Pararenyatwa, we have a doctor at Harare Hospital who can attend to your needs. They were once a young person, and because they were able to rope in the key indigenous knowledge system and your lived reality, at the end of the day, you feel safe, you feel secured. We rely on transport out there. If we have got a dysfunctional transport system and we don't have a local person, be it young person or elderly, who is able to attend to that, then we have a problem. So at the end of the day, the end goal is to make sure that our existence as Zimbabweans on this earth, it's fulfilled by us being able to attend to our own socio-economic problems. To the social narrative, that's the social construction. As young people, you are leaders and active citizens of tomorrow, and all futuristic sort of terms. So it now cascades down even to legislation. You spoke about our beautiful legislature. My prayer would be next time, let's have a sitting consortium of young people who are providing periodic updates, not for them to come once a month or once a year to say, what do you want us to do? What it does, it's going to let other young people fall within the cracks. Now to your question, my brother. Indeed, that's the very same issue, because we do not, I'll give this example, and this radio station is for academias. Let's say at the political parties, do we have academias that are young people that are doing policy evaluation at that level, and young people are included? Because what you need to understand, before you understand the substantive governance and socio-economic development, let us understand the procedural from which the conduit of ideas are coming through. If you've got young people at the lowest level of development, that's village development committee, we will not have a problem. Because what we risk at the end of the day is to have elitist ideas of young people that are here in Harare, representing young people that are living down in Jambes. We have a whole concept of intersectionality. Delight here has got problems, but put Delight as an albino, is disabled. My challenges are 3 times than those of the same young person at the end of the day. So I agree with you. What has been doing, and I'm sure the nation will also want to know, together with other young people have been pushing for a parliamentary youth caucus with the likes of Honorable Latanda, Honorable Changrai, Honorable Gandawa, to say at the end of the day, the youth voice is missing even at parliamentary level. Let us have a caucus that is able to interrogate each and every policy, each and every program, be it documented or undocumented, to see where do we locate our young people. So it's a double-edged. So at the end of the day, where I need to do my part and take the government to task on a policy position to say, have you fulfilled on this? But I concede to your idea. Currently, the laws that are there, the interventions that are there, they are consultation. Consultation is not collective duty. It's whereby someone comes and asks you what to do, what you want to see. Then they sift you through on what you've said and say, this is what aligns with my vision. At the end of the day, I'm going to take it. Sometimes they take things that does not align to what consider my priority system.
Interesting. I want you to hold that thought. I'll come back with you with something that is aligned to that. But let me turn to Fadzi and let's speak about youth-led organizations. Because from what I've seen, from my research, these are some of the organizations that are doing well in Zimbabwe. The youth-led organizations, you know, we could sit down and speak about things, but it would take the whole day. But you want to go to Instagram, there's a famous youth-led media item that is running things right now. If you need any source of news on Instagram, you go to that. It's youth-led. You want fashion, you want sneakers. There's a guy who's doing fantastic with sneakers. He's a youthie. My question becomes, are we not at a point where we're now realizing that, look, as the youth, we actually have the power to free ourselves and, you know, to do things on our own than just to sit and wait and say, I know someone is going to come. Don't worry, things will change. Someone is, are we not at that point where people are saying, you know what, but I've got the brains, I've got the ideas, why not just move forward with my idea?
Thank you so much. I think, like you're saying, we have reached a point where we have self-actualized. What we're doing is, I personally would have realized that I'm good. I mean, my area of specialty is media, and then I'll work along those lines. And as time goes on, if anyone if the policy makers are going to chip in, yes, they will chip in, but I would have done it myself. So thumbs up to the youth in Zimbabwe, because we are doing it for ourselves. If you want to look at the biggest brands in Zimbabwe, we are now talking about the youth. So I think we have reached the stage where we are now doing it. We have included ourselves in issues to do with economic development of the country. So yes, we are doing well as the youth in Zimbabwe.
Absolutely. 16 minutes before we get to 11 right here on Capitalk 100.4 FM, the Young People's Platform. And today we're talking about the youth and the economy. How... Okay, I just hit one word. This is getting interesting. There's so many things to talk about. There are so many issues that come out of the theme of discussion this particular morning. Going back to what you last said, Delight, to me, essentially, it points to dependency, which I think has become a syndrome for us, to depend and to say, we shall wait, and then, you know, something is going to happen. It's a juxtaposition to what I just said as well, because I said, there are so many young youths who are about but on the other hand as well, Tinega syndrome, someone will come and redeem us as well. But you said something interesting at the beginning when you spoke about your Nigerians and your South Africans who have figured out a way to embrace what they have. They gave us Amapiano, they're giving us Afro beats, and I'm glad to see that those youths are living off it. Some of them are millionaires now because of that. How do we turn around that, Kakuti, okay, something is going to happen, we are hopeful that something is going to happen. How do we turn around that way of thinking?
Wonderful. I think the starting point in terms of us graduating into a self-sustainable youth fabric, we are still dependent on our very own government systematically. We speak about those Nigerians and Ghanaians living off music. It's because they have a music industry that is treated as an institution. There's respect of copyrights.
Right.
There's remittance to what they do. And the institutions that are there are able to protect and to help market the products that are there. So in answering you, how do we turn around? The clarion call to our leaders today is to say, help us push through the youth bill. The youth bill mandates our very own government to have 35% of young people included in parastatals, in church bodies. Even here at a radio station, we expect to see 35 young people. That way we say we have done a level playing field where we say now self-actualize. But what should we do? Because we can't afford to cry at the end of the day. Number one, understand your own socio-economic environment. It's prudent that you register your business, that you try and formalize. Try and visit the Ministry of Youth, Zimbabwe Youth Council, and say, I've got a business idea. How do I formalize? How is it relevant to this discussion? You remember during the COVID-19 era, those who were registered business were able to come to the town and to do their commercial activities. A lot of young people could not come to this central business district because they have not formalized. So the formalization should not start at a level where you think you're only going to benefit. With formalization, you're accepting a responsibility, that you are going to remit your taxes through government, that you are going to make sure that you do your social corporate responsibility. Where do we find the double-edged sword that gives that dependent syndrome again? We are saying at the end of the day, formal tax is the revenue pool for government to do social economic activities. So our clarion call to our leaders is to say that after the young people have remitted their taxes, let us see the country developing. That's why we see the dependence will now align, because at the end of the day, we're interdependent. I'll tell you, every person in this room today, in this program, we are dependent on our elders. Either my parents, or there's something that is happening that we are dependent. So we can talk about self-actualization and economic development on our own, yet our social needs are still being done by someone else. It's a very heavy subject, my brother, because that is the reality at the end of the day. And it has manifested to a polarity level where even if I come with something that is beneficial to us as a nation, I look at it from political lens. Who said it? At what platform? And what was their mandate? But up until we realize to say it is the fundamentals of good politics that will give us reinforced economic principles, then we can move forward to say what. And let me help other young people on my to say, at the end of the day, there is prosecution and persecution to people that want to be politically active, objectively politically active. Number one, before you understand who's good or bad for a certain office, understand what policy is good for us all. When you speak from a policy position to say, this is what we agreed at national level, this is what we've done, these are the gaps, and this is where we want to go, I don't see a problem at the end of the day. Also, the problem is we have activists, not advocates. So I've got people who want to go on radio and say, Andina Basa. Yes, Mabasa Akuna. But have you had the private conversation in institutions? What are their position? What are the problems that are leading to that? So that tomorrow when you go to parliament on your own, you are able to say, after consulting such and such and such, this has been the common factor that is pulling us down. And our clarion call at the end of the day, it has to do with our education. Our education shuns issues of civic engagement. You don't know your constitution, but you know your Bible inside and out. I'm not saying anything wrong, but I'm simply saying after your Bible, your constitution should be the second document that you understand. Because the constitution is a different animal. That's number one. Number two, when you understand your constitution and the policies that are there, you can stand tall against the light to say, what the position is, the is and the is and the is and the is. And look at the people who understood their standing. They were able to leave a mark in Zimbabwe. Look at the former president, the current regime, even those who are said to be in the other side. At the end of the day, the academias, they were able to say, no, we want to be involved, and they punctuate the history of Zimbabwe, whether we like it or we don't. So my clarion call to everybody who's listening is to say, politics is not bad. Let's not expect the citizen that does not understand what we are doing. And don't confuse politics and good governance.
Yes.
Politics are simply sharing power. That's it. Yeah. Separating enemies from friends. Good governance is when you and I say, but Minister So let's not confuse the two. Participate in politics, participate in good government, and